Compleat Software, who are going to webinar the purchase to pay complete software solution. Purchase to pay, P2P, procure to pay, whatever you want to call it. This fundamental process is core to nearly all businesses. From ordering products and services from suppliers to making the payments for the purchases. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But we all know that's not always the case. I'm delighted to introduce you to the Compleat Software team today. Michaela Moorcroft and Ceri Bates, who will be presenting the benefits of automating this process and how it fits in with NetSuite. Just a couple of pieces of housekeeping. The webinar will be recorded for future reference. Please feel free to ask any questions via the live chat. There will be time at the end of the presentations for questions and answers. So without further delay, over to you, Michaela and Ceri.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Tony. Thanks, everybody, for joining today. I am delighted to be here working together with our partners, Eureka, as Tony said, to look at the benefits that their customers can achieve when automating the purchase-to-pay process by extending the functionality within your NetSuite system. Just to give you a very brief background on who we are, Compleat Software has been offering purchase-to-pay automation software in the UK since 2008 and globally across America and Australia since 2017. So my name is Ceri Bates. I've got a background working with automation technology spanning over a decade. I've worked with Compleat Software for just over 1 year. Previously, I was working with Sage Software for 10 years. I was a business development manager in the accountants division. So I've supported many businesses by introducing automation technology that's enabled their resources to be directed at more value-added tasks and also delivered cost saving to the same businesses by streamlining those manual processes and delivering them time-saving efficiency. So on today's agenda, what we're going to be covering is what we know that our customers are looking for. So understanding the customer pain points, the key drivers for adopting our solution. And then we're going to be looking at the complete circle. So we're going to provide you with an overview of the core complete solution and features and how the end-to-end system makes up the complete circle. We'll be looking at the purchase-to-pay experience, so a short insight into the end-to-end automation that you can utilize. We'll be looking at the benefits of our combined solution, including our integrated online purchasing. And we'll be looking at some customer testimonials across various industries in our existing customer base. We're then going to move into a demonstration, a live demonstration, providing you with an overview of everything from online buying using Amazon Business, our dynamic workflow approvals, and how we automate the invoice capture and matching process and integrate back into your ERP solution, NetSuite. We will then have time at the end, hopefully, for questions and answers. Please do, as Tony said, drop any questions that arise into the live chat. So, when our customers come to us looking for a purchase-to-pay solution, we've identified 3 of the most common reasons that come up in those conversations, for the reasons that customers want to explore automations and the key areas that they want to drive efficiencies in. First and foremost, the need to eliminate manual processing. By far the biggest point of conversation that we have when we are introduced to a new customer. This covers everything from manual data entry, things like printing off invoices or walking around the business trying to get physical signatures for approval. Also the allocation of different account codes for different spending categories across departments, cost centers or locations, for example. And also getting approval for things like Amazon Business invoices. More specifically, managing multiple invoices that could be sent against one purchase comes up as a topic quite a lot in conversations that we have. Making sure that goods have arrived before invoices have been reconciled and approved, all of which can be ultimately very time consuming. And of course, no matter how diligent we are, it's always subject to human error on occasion. It's very much the top driver that we hear. Secondly, the lack of visibility and control around current processes. So often we find that purchases are being made with suppliers, quite commonly with no formal sign-off, no visibility of spend before it's made, and therefore it's giving a lack of insight of cost commitments. And very often we hear from the finance team that the first thing that they know about spend happening is when the invoice arrives, which is quite frustrating for them. Often without a decentralized process around orders or invoice approvals, it leaves no audit trail. There's also no visibility of the status of each transaction, which can cause delays. The result is that the finance team can often discourage purchasing with companies such as Amazon because of that lack of control and lack of visibility over what's being purchased and what's being approved or not approved in many cases. Finally, wanting to reduce costs. We know that our customers have had a really difficult 2 years. Doesn't look like it's about to get any easier with a lot of challenges that we're facing at the moment. Reducing cost is always a really important agenda topic. Traditionally, we see that even where preferential prices or preferential suppliers are agreed, making sure that these suppliers are used across multiple entities or multiple departments with multiple users making those purchases, it's very difficult to ensure compliance. So this is where Compleat's full purchase-to-pay automation is not just a solution for finance, but it's also for the end users, the heads of department, budget holders across the business that want and need better control and visibility over their spend. So they need a solution that supports them in making the correct purchasing decisions. So we can limit the number of suppliers that can be purchased from, and we can embed inherited preferred pricing as well. So these sort of are a simple sort of introduction into the key drivers for change. And this is what's really driven purchase to pay and accounts payable automation. Where it was 3-4 years ago, it was a nice to have in businesses. Perhaps it wasn't a top priority. That shift has absolutely happened, and this has now become a need to have across many, many businesses that we speak to. So a little bit about how we do it, and what we're looking at here on this slide is what we call the Compleat circle. So ultimately what Compleat is doing is extending and enhancing the functionality within NetSuite around the purchase to pay and AP process, and it's done across what we call the Compleat circle, which is what we're looking at here. So just to walk through those component parts, what we're looking at is module 1 is our background piece of technology. It's called Compleat Capture. It's the essential service at the core of all of what we offer. It extracts purchase invoice data from documents received, and those documents can be received in any format. The process is driven by our own AI and machine learning technology, which is converting the invoice data into digital data for review and for coding within the iComplete application. This completely removes the manual steps in reconciling invoices against your purchases across the business and entering them into NetSuite. Moving into module 2 in the circle is the AP automation, which is deliverable once the invoice data has been captured. So general ledger coding can be defaulted at both supplier and at line level. The dynamic workflows can be automatically selected based again on header or at line level data. Our approval workflows can rapidly speed up the approval process with the ability to select either parallel workflows, and these can be configured on conditional criteria. Commonly, we see departmental workflows being built, also on value-based thresholds, or indeed a combination of the two. Finally, the approved invoice is posted in real time via our distributed connector back into NetSuite, where the invoice data is posted against the transaction together with a URL link back to that original invoice. Into module 3, our integrated online buying gives requisitioners the easiest and most familiar path to placing orders with online suppliers using our punch out capability to integrated e-commerce sites. And by using Compleat's online buying, spend can be controlled upfront giving that much needed visibility of spend across the business before the invoice arrives, which, like I say, is a really common point of frustration that is raised by finance teams. Again, users can be restricted to those preferred suppliers, preferred items, preferred prices, giving further control where it's needed across the whole business. Automated coding can actually be applied at point of purchase order, meaning when the invoice is received, the invoice matches back against that order, inheriting the coding allocated to the purchase order. In many cases, we find that there is then no need for approval of the invoice, although this can be selected if it's appropriate. The finance team then only need to manage invoice exceptions that are routed into our unprocessed tray, which we will see in the demonstration. Finally, further, the purchase requisitioning and integrated online buying also enables goods receipting to be turned on at supplier level, either by value or by quantity, and this allows the 2- or 3-way matching as appropriate. Just to give a little bit more of a visual here into that process, so every journey that we see starts with the digitalization of invoices and automation of that accounts payable process. And this is how it works integrated to your NetSuite. As best practice, we start the suppliers are emailing invoices into that unique e-invoicing email address that we allocate to every business at the point of implementation of Compleat. Any document format is accepted by the Compleat capture engine, so that can be PDF, Excel, Word, text document. And then we default back to the traditional OCR technology if we are still receiving paper invoices that you yourselves can scan into that email address. The AI and machine learning technology extracts the data at both header and at line level. We are also capturing at that point and storing any supporting documentation alongside the invoice. So, for example, we might see that a delivery note has been captured, or if your suppliers have included anything within the body of an email, for example. That's all stored within the iComplete application in accordance with GDPR guidelines. The digital copy of the invoice is delivered for review, giving users the 100% visibility of every document and every transaction, and it's all date and time stamped as it moves through the application, providing you with a full audit trail. The ability to allocate automated coding at both header and line level removes the repetitive, manual, time-consuming tasks undertaken by the finance team at this point, and the automated workflows can be selected, delivering further efficiency within the accounts payable team, helping to maintain supplier relationships by supporting prompt payment of invoices when they are received. The dynamic workflows can be configured to support or further enhance your existing business processes. Approvals can be figured on conditions such as location, cost center, one we see commonly as department, set in parallel to allow the delivery of an invoice document or purchase order document to multiple approvers in one step. And we can also build into that workflow line item data. So, for example, what we might see is if a line item reads maintenance, send this to X workflow. Multiple steps can be built incorporating value thresholds or a combination of value and conditions at one time. And the approvers can receive notification on email or on a mobile device. Nudges can be sent to remind approvers of outstanding documents, and this can also be reported on from within the iComplete application. Finally, our 2-way real-time distributed connector is going to post that approved invoice data back into NetSuite in real time, ready for payment to the supplier. The full purchase to pay experience, focusing on delivering automation and visibility and control across the process from the point of requisitioning. So rather than having purchases made via credit cards or expense claims, this can be controlled by providing your staff with controlled access to the preferred online suppliers and automation tools for approvals and budget checks. So with the real-time order placement and pre-approval, the invoice and subsequent automation becomes a confirmation process rather than that time-consuming accounting one. And then with the integration into NetSuite, you're really able to leverage this existing investment and making the most of your finance team's time. So looking at the benefits of combining integrated online purchasing, what we're looking at here really is the vision or the ideal gold standard result for every business, starting at the very beginning with the automated controlled online purchasing, providing visibility of transactions, controlling the supplier, goods, pricing, providing end users with a familiar experience, and therefore enabling the adoption of the application across the whole business, which is really key when you're looking at rolling out an application such as this. User adoption is absolutely crucial. AP automation, so eliminating the manual validation and processing of supplier invoices, removing the amount of human intervention required with that automated allocation of general ledger and custom coding, and moving back through to the automated approval. So ensuring that your audit trails are complete, providing budget holders and finance team with the tools they need to improve spending decisions and supplier relationships, and then into NetSuite with that distributed connector. At the bottom there, just to touch on it, the final element that we want to highlight really is the advanced spend analytics. So it's a tool that we can give back to you when we capture all of that invoice data, header and line level. We can give you back a tool called the Advanced Spend Analytics tool, which provides category analysis and advanced reporting to enhance your spending decisions with suppliers. Just to touch on some testimonials from some of our existing client base before we look at the demonstration. So one thing about Compleat Software is we are completely industry agnostic. We've got around 500 live clients across a broad spectrum of industries, and we've got various sizes of clients, anywhere from 5 users to 200 users, and I believe our largest entity is somewhere just under 70 entities in one company at the moment. These businesses are all processing anywhere from 200 invoices a month up to tens of thousands of invoices annually. What you can see in front of you on the screen there is some of the testimonials that we've got from some of our existing client base, such as Biogen, Girls Day School Trust, which is a large multi-academy trust, also Food Alert and Kingsley, when they have testified that what they have had delivered by the implementation of the iComplete solution, cost savings of upwards of 25% and efficiency savings of upwards of 90%. So they're quite strong statistics. We can provide further details of individual case studies if they would be required. So what we're going to jump into now is we're going to take a little look at the demonstration today. And then once the demonstration is finished, we can come back together and we can have a look at any questions that have come up in the chat.
Thanks, Ceri, and hi everyone. Today I will be showing you an end-to-end demonstration of the Compleat Purchasing and Invoice Management solution integrated to NetSuite. We'll look at how you can digitalize all of your purchase invoices and automate your accounts payable process, and also how you can gain more visibility and control over your purchasing process when introducing online buying with your preferred suppliers. First of all, I'm going to log in as Emily, which is one of our users. So you can see simply logging in with an email address and password to gain access to the system, and the system will define the user role based on how it's been set up and configured. Also, you can use single sign-on within the system, and as you can see, it's a browser-based application, so you can use your preferred browser. Logging in as Emily is an accounts payable user. She's got the access to manage invoices and process any invoices that require her input or intervention. So that could be invoice exceptions that don't match orders. That could be invoices that have arrived and require some sort of coding or routing for approval. Other types of users would be users that simply create new orders with your suppliers or potentially approve the orders before they get generated and sent to your suppliers. And you can also have approval only users at the invoice stage as well. as users that might just interact with reports and look for insights on how much you're spending with each supplier or any invoices that are outstanding for approval, accruals, reporting, etc. A couple of things before we go into our scenarios to present the end-to-end system. We've got a centralized e-invoicing email address here, and that is where all of the purchase invoices will be routed to, so our AI capture engine can extract the header and line level information off of all of your purchase invoices. We can receive invoices in a variety of formats, including PDF, Word, Excel, and also any paper invoices that arrive in the post can be scanned and emailed to this location. So this process really is removing all of the manual steps in terms of keying invoice data into NetSuite, because all of the invoices will be routed here and digitally captured, and the data will be presented. And we'll walk through the other automation steps in terms of coding and approval workflow as we move into the accounts payable automation example. Another quick note is the system is multi-entity. So if you have multiple entities set up within NetSuite, you can have those reflected within Compleat, which you can have, different codes, different users allocated to those entities, and they can be integrated to the appropriate entity within NetSuite as well. So the first example I am going to show you is an end-to-end example where we are actually going directly to one of our preferred supplier websites. So we have a range of integrated online suppliers to automate this process for businesses, which is a really powerful tool because you simply click on the preferred supplier and then you can navigate to the website and decide what you want to purchase as normal. So I've just decided that I want to buy some paper there. You can see we're on the Amazon website here. We're filling our basket as we usually would, and then we are actually submitting these items for approval, which automatically populates the request to buy within the Compleat application. So you can see all of the header level information, which will be, the company that you're sat within, the supplier who you're purchasing with, any delivery information, all of the line level information, which will be your basket that you have populated within the supplier's website. And then we can be flexible around analysis. So you can either have analysis at this level, or it can be applied at invoice stage. So that's flexible and up to you in terms of the configuration, but we can have analysis defaulted based on the user's profile as well. So if you've got a user ordering within the IT department, then that departmental level coding can be auto assigned to really just remove any manual intervention required at this stage. What we can then do is simply just click order here, and then the system's going to dynamically decide whether that requisition requires approval or not. So the benefit of having approval at this stage is that your business will have visibility and control over what's being purchased and be able to authorize it before that commitment is actually made with your supplier. So in this case, the purchase is going to the purchasing manager to approve, and then once approved, that will be auto completed with Amazon as part of the integration. So let me just switch users. I'm going to go to Rory as an approval user just to show how the authorization can work from the browser-based application. So here you can see Rory has a limited view of information because he's simply approving orders and he's also approving invoices. So clicking into manage orders, we can send email notifications automatically to authorizers within the system, which will prompt them to authorize the requisition in this case, or the transaction in general. We also have a mobile application which can be used, so either logging into the browser or you can approve on the mobile app. In terms of authorization, you can choose whether to approve, deny, and you can add comments if you want to as well. Now let's click approve. What we'll be able to see here is that the purchase order number has been created and all the summary information you can see, and it will then confirm that the electronic order has been automatically fulfilled with Amazon Business. So the process is automated in terms of completing that purchase with Amazon, in this case once approved, but you can have auto approval set up if you simply want visibility of that purchase and to drive invoice automation in terms of matching. If I go back to Emily, so we've just presented the purchasing side and how we can automate the basket into Compleat drive workflow and then complete that purchase with the online supplier. From an invoice management perspective, Amazon will automatically send that invoice to the Compleat email address. So that will also be automated within the platform. What that then means is when we go to our manage invoices section, we'll be able to look at and manage any incoming invoices that have arrived from your suppliers. So continuing with the Amazon example, you'll be able to see there's different statuses on the left hand side here. This one stipulates that the invoice that has arrived has matched the order that has been created. So if we just click through into the invoice here, what we can see is that the header level information has populated off of the invoice that has arrived, and also the line level information has populated from the invoice that has arrived as well. We can see the invoice on the left hand side that would have been sent from Amazon, so we can review that and have that as a digital record that's stored within the system. And then we can also look at any information that might need to be completed. So because we didn't allocate the department at the order stage, it's just asking us to allocate the department at the invoice stage. So we have what we call quick actions, which allow you to just define what department or any coding that you want to allocate. So very quick process. You can decide if it's all lines, if you've got multiple lines, or a single line that you want to allocate that to. And then if I just edit the invoice here, you can also see there's the option to map any defaults. So automation and building that is key within the platform to maximize productivity and efficiency of the accounts payable department. So here we can see that can actually set a default at a particular department, or that can be simply fulfilled at order stage and automated when the invoice arrives. So different options there for you. If I just go back, we can also see we've got the purchase order at the top here, as that is the reference in which the invoice has matched against, and to understand that the values are the same, we can view the purchase order here, or we can actually view any of the lines from the purchase order itself as well if we require that. So full visibility. What we can then decide to do is submit this for approval, or we can also automatically define the approval workflow. So in the most automated scenario, an invoice would come in, it would match and could be automatically routed for approval. So the accounts payable operator in those scenarios wouldn't have to interact at all with that invoice. Sending this for approval, it will automatically take us to the next invoice in our tray page that requires our attention, as you can see. Different tray pages up here, which filter the transactions based on their status. So we'll be able to see the invoice match example has gone for approval, and it's actually dynamically sent it to the IT manager because the IT department is a code that was allocated at invoice stage. So that is able to, or the system is able to dynamically decide on the routing of that transaction based on the coding on the invoice, which is going to save a lot of time and streamline the process and just limits the decision-making process from the accounts payable operators as well that might be processing invoices. If I just quickly approve the invoice, as we've got Rory as the approval user on the invoices as well. So let me just quickly approve that invoice. And that's going to then be a finally approved invoice. If we click through and view the documents and timeline, we'll be able to then see who submitted it and when, for what supplier, any header level summary information, and then it builds up the timeline of events and audit trail in terms of who's approved it and when, and potentially any comments that they've added onto the approval step as well. So if I just log back in as Emily, really in terms of invoices that have been approved, then we'll be able to transfer any approved invoices automatically into NetSuite. So you'll be able to see there's a reference number here. There will be a journal reference number that pulls back from your NetSuite solution as part of the integration. So what we're able to transfer across is the approved invoices, as we can see here. So all of the approved invoice data, any approved credit note data, and then we're also transferring the URL link to the invoice record as well. So you can actually click on that link when you're navigating in your NetSuite system and be rerouted back to the transaction that you can view any of the information of. What we're also doing as part of the integration, if we just go back to another invoice example, in this case we're looking at one that's arrived without a purchase order number, so you can process any invoices and we'd refer to these as direct invoices coming through where there's not a purchase order reference, but we can capture all of the header and line level data. As you can see here, we've got the invoice date, the supplier, invoice number, net VAT and gross, and then we've captured all of the line level data off of the invoice as well. And you can see here all of the coding has been automatically populated. So we've got the account code, we've got the department, which is auto populated to IT, and then we can see the invoice on the left hand side as well. So this is the data that we've captured, extracted automatically and populated into your Compleat system. In terms of the integration, we're looking at the active list of suppliers within your NetSuite system. So we can raise orders against your approved suppliers and process invoices against your suppliers as well. And then we are, of course, capturing all of your analysis fields. So we've got account code and department as a couple of key fields there, but we can also obviously capture your locations, delivery sites, tax codes, etc. So that will be a real-time integration with capturing your reference data, but also being able to post approved transactions to automate the end-to-end process. As there's multiple lines on this example, you can just see we can click through into individual lines as well and navigate to line 3. In this case, if we wanted to change any coding, then we can easily do so within the solution. As described, you can also set default around the workflow. So we've got department heads as a workflow which will auto route transactions based on their coding. So this could actually be selected, and any invoices that come in from TechoDrive computers from now on would actually be automatically sent into the workflow itself to maximize that automation and reduce human intervention. Hopefully that's all clear in terms of the process there. I think what I'm going to do now is just go back to the home screen and show you a little bit on the configuration, because the workflow, as I said, is very powerful and easy to set up and can be configured really to your requirements. So if I just go to manage workflow and we have a look at the department heads authorization workflow that we've been using. So you can have your workflow name at the top. You can decide if the workflow is for all transactions, If you're using accounts payable only, then it will be just invoice and credit notes. If you're also using purchasing automation, then you can have different approval workflows for orders. You can have different positions within the approval workflow. So position 1, we've got here, we look at the HR department, we've got one user. You can have multiple users within one step to form an approval group, which would just mean one of 2 or one of 3 could approve at that level. What you can also do is build out these conditions, which really just triggers that dynamic flow which I was referring to, and makes it very powerful in terms of sending transactions on one workflow, but then the workflow decides who to route it to based on location, based on department, are the most common ones, but you can have it based on supplier, GL account code, etc. You can also then have multiple steps that build in approval thresholds. So you can see here that this secondary approval workflow will only be called upon when the transaction is 5,000 or above. So the CEO is the secondary level of approval here with transactions over that value. Lastly, we've also got some reporting which can just really track all of your purchase orders or invoices within one centralized solution. So if I just click on the reports here, I've got activity-based reports which will allow you to track any invoices pending approval, outstanding, that potentially need to be chased, but we can also have automated nudges after 24, 48 hours, for example, to speed up that approval workflow and streamline it. Looking at supplier activity, so how much you've spent with different suppliers and drilling down into that information. And then core financial reporting in terms of committed spend, if you're interacting with the purchasing side, any open orders, and also your accruals reporting can be done within the Compleat system as well at the end of the month to view any transactions which are outstanding, which haven't yet made it to NetSuite as an approved invoice or approved credit note, for example. Just looking at one of the examples here, you can see that you can interact with the period. So we've got 7 days, 30 days, etc. here. And then you can drill down into different segments, which just gives you all of the information in terms of the particular report. And in this case, how many days it's outstanding in terms of the approval. So in my demo set, we've got some quite large numbers here, but you get the idea in terms of how that works. Each field you can filter on as well if you want to limit the view of information, find something in particular, and then you can export all of the reports to Excel as well. So lots more that we could show you, but conscious of time. So if you're interested in seeing a more tailored demonstration, then more than happy to set that up and answer any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Annabelle. One point to highlight is that when selecting a purchase to pay solution from the variety that is on the market will be the integration with NetSuite. Many other solutions will offer flat file integration or API integration, whereas Compleat offers a distributed connector to give the most automated way of integrating with your finance solution. What we're looking at here on this infographic is a demonstration of the two-way real-time integrated connector with NetSuite. So that's the data that we're caching from NetSuite. So your supplier information, account codes, any custom codes such as your departments, tax codes or location that you're interacting with NetSuite, all the way down to the journal reference number that is pulled back and cached into Compleat to complete the audit trail in the application. And then, of course, we transfer that approved invoice data and a link back to the URL so that that can be viewed against the NetSuite transaction. The final point to cover today is that we would like to introduce you to the new and exclusive Amazon Business Prime offer. Compleat partner with Amazon, and we have recently jointly developed an integrated online buying using punch in technology. So as Annabelle demonstrated, the punch out technology in the demonstration, which is starting that buying from within the Compleat application, we've now developed that further so that you can start the buying from within Amazon Business. This has been launched in the UK in January, and it's now available globally. And the feature automatically populates the basket from Amazon Business, punching it back into the Compleat system for processing and invoice matching to automate your accounts payable process. The offer from Amazon Business is exclusively available when you sign up to Compleat and enable the integrated online buying punch-in feature. The offer will provide free subscription with Amazon Business Prime Media for 8 months, and that is valued at £650, or it will give you the Prime Business Unlimited for 12 months, valued at £4,500. The offer applies if you subscribe with Compleat before the 31st of December and activate the Amazon Business Punch-in feature. The offer is also open to existing Amazon Prime Business subscribers. There were a couple of questions in the chat. So there were some questions around, number one, are there any restrictions around online buying? So we've currently got a number of sites that are enabled through the punch out integration that we mentioned there. So it's not limited to Amazon Business. There are a number of other suppliers that we have that integration with that we can enable for you. But also we are just releasing our supplier plugin. What that means is if you as a business have got any unique or preferred suppliers that are pertinent to what you do in the business, we can actually build out a unique dashboard to integrate your top suppliers that you would like to have that integrated buying experience with. That's something that we can scope out with you on a one-to-one basis. Second question, do we need to take the whole solution straight away, or can we just start with invoice capture? The answer to that is yes. So the iComplete application is modular. So if your immediate need is to automate your accounts payable process and just look to get those invoices that are coming in captured and digitally presented back within the application with the automated general ledger coding and the approvals before being posted back into NetSuite, then we can start with that and deliver the accounts payable side only to you. And then you can, if you want, then open that out as a phase 2 project to include the online purchasing as well. Costs, what does the solution cost? iComplete is priced based on the number of users that would need to have access to the software, and the users would be categorized as requisitioners, approvers, and the finance team. And the second way that it's priced is around the transaction credit. So every invoice that comes into that e-invoicing email address to have the data extracted, every invoice takes 1 transaction credit, and transaction credits are bought in preset bundles. The bigger the bundle, the cheaper the cost per document. And that's something, again, that we would scope out with you in a one-to-one demonstration. I'm conscious of time, so if there are any further questions, we can pick those up and take them away and come back to you on email. For now, yeah, we just want to thank you all for attending the webinar today. We hope that you find it useful. If you do have any further questions, you can contact your Eureka account manager. They will also be able to support you in arranging a further tailored demonstration. So thanks everybody for joining today, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Take care. Bye-bye.